This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
I believe that we're all trying to figure out this thing called life. Things present themselves. You ask that question, why? Why is that happening to me? Why haven't I attained certain things that I feel I deserve in my life? Just looking for answers to your questions. She has them for you. She is a psychic, spiritual medium. She's an energy worker, energy healer. She has lots of deep insight. I've experienced it myself even in 2 minutes talking to her before we got on here. Tricia George joins us on the program today. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's great to have you with us. And
Thanks.
you got more going on here than I believe meets the eye. Because even in a 2-minute conversation before we jumped in, seeing much clarity with you and the way you work with people when it comes to energy. And let's get this out of the way here now. Everything is energy. We are energy. This pen I'm holding is energy. Chair you're sitting on is energy. Oh, everything's different energy. Understanding it, call it manipulating it, clearing it, is the game changer in moving our lives forward. I'm just going to go there. I'm going to throw it to you right now. When did you realize, the first time you realized that this whole energy thing is legit and real?
I mean, probably when I was about 6 years old, really. That was when it started, when I was about six, and I knew things before they happened. I would see beings walking through my space. I would see family members that had transitioned out of this lifetime.
Mm.
I had known who I was in the previous lifetime before I got into this one. So I had a picture of who I was, what I experienced, even though I was 6 or 7, I didn't know how to express it, but I had that vivid picture. And that was amazing in this lifetime because I was actually able to clear that lifetime karma from the previous incarnation into this one, if that makes sense.
When were you able to do that?
I did it in my 30s.
Okay.
So that picture stayed with me my whole entire life. And that was like my puzzle piece for this incarnation that I needed to heal.
So obviously you believe in past lives. You do past life regressions.
Yes.
How many lives do you think you've lived?
I think I've lived over 369 lives.
I've
Easy.
never heard a number that high.
Easy. Easy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I think I like to incarnate a lot.
Apparently.
Lots of-
So got to ask these questions.
Yeah.
Always human?
No. Definitely not.
Okay.
Definitely not. Definitely felt like I was almost like a God source being in the Roman era, Definitely felt like I've been on different planets. So not necessarily just this one. And the people or the guides that I deal with on a daily basis actually validate that for me constantly.
So I feel I should share that I had a past life regression before we met, like 4 weeks ago. First one ever. And, I've done hypnotherapy before. So I believe in it. It's given me clarity, understanding, has definitely moved my life forward. Never did the past life regression through hypnotherapy. And I always had an affinity for, I don't know, like the 1800s. And just it resonates with me. And I believe that's where I was brought in the regression. The reason I'm bringing all this up is, I'm sitting there and it's like, I wonder if this is real. Yeah, I'm seeing images. I'm seeing me. I'm a cowboy. I'm on a farm. And the mind blow for me, and I'm just sharing this with others because I am a skeptic, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I had a wife in this life. And there I'm staring at the barn. I see the horse and, it's all good. Where is she? That's here. So time went on during the regression. Not around. And then like a sledgehammer, it hit me. She died.
Yeah.
And I felt it. And then I saw her on her deathbed and I felt it Like there's no reason, no why. Why would I feel it with such like I was like bawling, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
why would I feel that unless it was real? And then years later, I was with somebody else. I was elevated to a certain position in a town. I don't know what it was, maybe political. I don't do politics. I
Hmm.
don't know. Maybe I was the mayor. I don't even know what it was. But then
Yeah.
I was with somebody else and I saw her looking at me with proud eyes and I felt it
Yeah.
like real deal. So for me, on the past life thing, new to me at the moment, I would say I'm
Yeah.
about 65, 70% believing like, ooh, okay, this stuff is real based
Sure.
on the feelings. Does that make sense to you?
Sure, yeah. And for me, I actually see it as layers. So we're actually, if we were in an elevator, we
Hmm.
can actually experience all the timelines simultaneously. So just by going up and down your elevator, some people, for when I do readings on people, I see a hall of records in the eighth chakra. But for me, we're living almost all the timelines simultaneously. We could tap into any of them. It's just like the internet, we're all
Wow.
on Wi-Fi. It's not visible, right? We
Hmm.
we know that we're connected through Bluetooth or whatever you want to call it, but the same holds true with our past lives and our energy bodies. It's
Wow.
all interrelated through the ley lines.
Like the internet, always accessible.
Always, always. It's even better than the internet because it never goes down. So
Look at you.
don't have to worry about power.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I have a friend who is a psychic, and when she needs to get clarity or do a reading, she's in an elevator in her mind,
Oh,
and
interesting.
she takes the elevator down to the bottom floor, which opens up to a beach, and she walks out on the beach, and that's where she gets, if I ask her a
Yeah.
question, she's like, "Hold on," and then that's how she goes. Um,
Yeah.
I want to go into the psychic aspect of you.
Sure.
Um, Psychic medium, psychic and medium. How would you define it?
I would say, oh, sorry. I
And
would
can
say
you connect with the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say it's all of it. I feel like I'm psychic, intuitive, and a medium all wrapped up into one little human being right now on this planet. So I can tap into all aspects of it. So I'm tapping into the energy body, the physical body, the emotional and mental bodies, and the spiritual, and I'm combining all of those together. And then also working with their higher chakras. That's why I work with the 12 chakras more than the seven,
Seven. Mm.
is because I can go into the Akashic records, their book of life. All of the information that's up here is much more informative than most people realize. And we have the soul chakra as well. And when you go up in there, it's amazing how far you can go into someone's space. So when I go into somebody, I'm actually literally sometimes going into them or I'm astral projecting into their home. It just depends on what I'm doing. But I have the ability to not only have the psychic intuitive hits, but as a medium, I'm reading their past incarnations, seeing how they're working in this current lifetime, but also seeing their spaces, their environments, and how
Mm.
they're manipulating or um, using their environments to serve them or not.
Mm. It almost seems that having that intuitiveness, if you're going to heal somebody using energy work, that you already ramped up, as
Oh,
opposed to
yeah.
somebody, and I'm not taking anything away from anybody who does energy work, Reiki master, whatever it might be. You got a running start. You already know,
Yeah.
the playing field, and you can just go in and get the work done.
Yeah, I do it for 22 years. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time just as play. It's only been 5 years as a career, but for me, it's like my whole life has been through my psychic intuitive space. Just now, can we talk about it all the time, right? We can't really, years ago, you weren't able to talk about it as readily, but now it's like becoming mainstream, which is awesome.
It really is. And I'm right
Hmm.
there with you. I've been connected to psychics for 30 years. So
Oh, cool.
that was kind of my, and I'm not a psychic connoisseur. It just happened universally, like, and names that but whatever. It, I knew about energy, but didn't really put it all together back then. I would see people doing the work, but didn't
Yeah.
really figure the energy thing out until later in life. And then all the pieces started coming together, doing podcasts, talking to people like you, and then just a better understanding Akashic records. And I've never
Yeah.
had mine accessed,
Huh.
but I believe in it. I believe
Yeah.
there's well, you know what? For anybody who doesn't know, what are the Akashic records?
The Akashic Records really are your book of lives. So for me, it's a hall of records. It's a foot above your seventh chakra. So it's right here above your head. And for me, there's a portal there. So you actually go through a door. For me, I see a hall of columns on each side. And if you pretend like you're in Italy and you see these beautiful uniform columns on either side, I look for a column that's out of whack, the one that might be discolored or the one that might have like weeds growing on it or something. And that's the column I'll tap, and see what's going on. But that will hold all the lifetimes of that individual from their previous incarnations.
Ooh, I never heard that before.
Yeah, it's pretty
Wow.
cool. It's pretty
Hmm.
cool.
Can you
Yeah.
give an example of what you accessed in somebody's Akashic records and maybe how it got validated or helped them move forward? And again, it's all confidential, but just,
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
example of, comes up.
This was with the client yesterday. So I read her rose. So I do a rose reading in the beginning. So and on the stem of the rose, if I see a ring, like a simple ring, I'll tap that ring, with permission. I always ask permission from my clients. So I tap this ring, and it's like three-quarters of the way down, deep red, and I'm like, all right, we're going there. And then I see this woman on her knees with a man laying on top of her, and she's crying like so mournfully, and I just saw blood everywhere. And I was like, what is going on in this picture? But I was realizing that her husband had died, and this is probably like 1753-ish was that the year I got. And so I told her, I said, I don't know what that's representing right now. I'm going to heal it so it doesn't impact her in this lifetime by moving that column back. But we got into the reading, and it was an hour and a half advanced reading. And came to find out 6 months ago, her partner in this lifetime passed away. So it was complete validation that she had a previous lifetime with this other individual. And I'm getting goosebumps right now. So it's totally validating. She had a previous incarnation where she had lost this man previously. And she was having the same experience in this lifetime.
Was it the same person in another life?
It was the same person, but for me, I couldn't tell if she was the man or the woman because I healed it before I actually knew that the partner had passed in this lifetime.
Wow. So there's we just
It
opened up
was
the door to more understanding
Yeah.
that people in this lifetime in your life could be from other lives. I've never heard that before.
You have soul groups. You have soul groups. You've engaged with other people constantly and you're sort of rotating through. Sometimes some get, I say, spit out and you've kind of cleaned the karma with them so you don't need them in your soul group anymore, but someone else might come in, and it starts creating this cyclical pattern where you're sort of trying to heal karma over the lifetimes in the current lifetime. Just that many of us, because we don't touch our spiritual side, we don't consider that aspect when we're getting into relationships with people.
I find myself in the last, I don't know, 6 months ish, starting to evaluate those in my life and why they're there. Do they support now? Um, should they still be in? Just looking at it from a different lens, if you will. And I don't know, I don't know
Yeah,
why, but we all go through, our journey and maybe different realizations. And we're growing every day, aren't we? In a different way.
totally.
Mm,
Totally evolving, really. We're constantly
evolving.
evolving. Yeah.
What I have to say this, you have a message for me, and I don't know what's going, why I have to say that to you, and just leave it as it is. I
I
do,
don't know. Part of me, I won't read you without consent. So
you have full consent, but
yeah, I won't read you.
I'm not putting
But
you on the spot, but I'm repeating
yeah,
what is coming down for me, download whatever, and I don't want to say it. I fought it. I'm like, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to
well,
say it.
yeah.
But
For me,
anyway,
the wife in your previous incarnation that you were just talking about has something to do with your mother, believe it or not.
hmm,
And that's why it's so, when you saw her face, it was so real for you and so vivid.
I don't even remember her face,
No, but
the feeling.
in the picture when so you have the feeling, I could see the picture. So I'm very clairvoyant. So when you shared that with me, I already saw the picture. I already saw like the diorama, you might say. And there's definitely a connection with your mom in that picture. And it was about it was an like a soulful connection is what I was feeling there.
Hmm.
Um, and that was what I was observing when you were sharing that story with me.
Well,
But
full
like I said,
disclosure, you mentioned this process that you call the rose. What is that?
yeah, it's the rose where I read you as a symbol rather than a physical form. So I actually, the rose has the highest vibration on the planet. So its vibrational frequency is higher than us when we're sitting, we're about 60, 70. A rose, when it's in bloom, is almost at like 247 or 267 hertz.
Oh, I
So
never heard
it's
that. Wow.
yeah, so it's
Hmm.
super high. So when I put your soul or your spirit in a rose and read you from the rose, I can see where you are on your path, what incarnations you might be dealing with, what contracts you have in this lifetime, like through the vision of leaves, thorns, or pain bodies. And then where you are on your spiritual path is representative of the sun. So where the sun
Wow.
is. I love to read everything like a clock. It's the easiest thing for someone to relate to. Like they hear the word chakra and sometimes they freak out because they don't know what it is, but a clock is the best representation because it's just a circumference.
Hmm.
So, and if your sun is at like say 9 o'clock, that's telling me you haven't really started your spiritual path. But if it's at like 11 or 12, that means it's really close to your path.
Cool.
So it's pretty
And
cool.
um, my mom's name was Rose, so that's why that resonates with me.
Yeah.
Like, where did that, where did that come from? Like, it's just you show up and it's random.
Yeah.
And I get you on the word chakra. Shock.
Yeah.
It's not even spelled shock, but just that word is kind of alarming for
Yeah.
people to hear it. So it's like, oh,
Yeah.
I want you to read my chakras. It sounds scary until
Yeah.
somebody realizes what they are. And yeah, let's go back to basics here. What are they?
Yeah. They're just cones of energy. So there's multiple cones within cones. My best analogy is an ice cream cone for people that really have a hard time like simplifying it. And like the first chakra has four cones that sit inside a cone, and the outside cone is the soul wheel, and then the inside cone is the spirit wheel. So,
Hmm.
and they spin within our bodies. The front chakras spin clockwise, back bodies spin counterclockwise. And so they're sort of doing this like loop de loop. If they're nice and even and cohesive, they're spinning in an even rotation with each other, you know?
Wow.
And that's what I love to read is the chakras. That's my favorite part, I would say.
Hmm. I've never heard somebody say that before. Usually it's incorporated in other types of energy healing, whether, somebody's doing a Reiki session, then they balance
Mhm.
or cleanse the chakras.
Mhm.
So you gave a little bit of detail about your journey into energy and energy healing. Give a little more. How did this all start for you? I mean, you were 6 when you have a realization, right?
Yeah, I was 6 when I had a realization. I would see like things as I was growing up. I would see like a hand coming through the wall. I'd see beings passing by. I would go to my friend's house, like states away, and I would hear water running in the bathroom, but the sink was dry and no one was in there. And come to find out their father passed away washing his clown makeup off in the bathroom. So that's when I was like 15, 16. So this was something that no matter what I was doing, I was having these experiences. I just didn't have the tools back then to know what was happening, if that makes sense. So as I matured, I learned my tools. I've created my own tools, to sort of like own my space energetically. So beings just can't come walking through walls without my permission, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
So it's really kind of been a wild adventure. I would say my huge awakening, and this one's probably way too long for this podcast, but was when I felt like my head cracked open when I was driving home one day, and it was like I had felt this liquid pouring or permeating my whole body, and it just told me that I had to relocate. And I listened to that voice, and it's been wonderful ever since then. It was like I felt like I got a download or an upload, you could say, in that moment. I lost like 45 minutes of time while I was driving. Can't figure that one out at all. And yeah.
How did you connect the whatever that was, the liquid pouring through your body and it cracked all of that with relocating? How did you make that connection?
I heard a voice. So my gatekeeper, we all have a gatekeeper. And my gatekeeper came in. So literally, when I lost the 45 minutes of time, I was driving my Suburban, from one part of Pennsylvania to another part. And I really felt like my head cracked open. And as I was touching my head, a voice said, "You need to move." And they told me where to move. They told me to move to California. So I was like, whoa. And I was like, okay. So, and I really listen. I listen to everything that comes into my space. So when they said that, I felt that energy really, and I was touching my body, figuring I thought I was like soaking wet. But it was this transition that I went through, like almost like an awakening. And I listened to that information. And I remember walking into my home knowing that I was going to sell my house and move to California. So it was just an amazing experience. I couldn't define it, and I didn't get an answer to it until about 2020 that it was my gatekeeper because I went through a hypnosis because I saw a lot of images during that process that I wanted answers to. And that's when I
Mm.
found out it was my gatekeeper. Because I always heard my gatekeeper, but I never saw him visually. So now I can actually have a name and I can see him every day. He works with me every day with my clients. And we have
Mm.
this like relationship on the etheric, I guess you would say.
How did you find the strength and courage to move and relocate? Just, call it on a whim. Where
I
did it come
just
from?
listened to I just listened to source. I mean, that's what it was. To me, my gatekeepers, we all are incarnated with an ancestral being and a gatekeeper. So my gatekeeper saved my life on a motorcycle, as well. So it was like I always trusted his guidance because I should have died on that motorcycle and there was nothing that happened to me. It was like amazing. I had one little scratch. But so it's just trusting that the inner voice that we all have within our intuitive nature is what we should be listening to, not the monkey mind, not the ego. So, and that's really what it was is I redirected my listening or my voice, recognition inward rather than external.
How do we connect with these spiritual beings, entities like the gatekeeper? Is there a way? And I want to share with you.
Yeah,
I heard that we have a spirit team around us,
yeah,
angels, whatever you want to call. And
yeah,
I've actually laid in bed and I've asked them to present themselves. Somebody told me that you can try doing that. That can work. Um,
yeah.
Tried it a few times. Once I fell asleep, so maybe I missed something. Um,
Okay.
but they haven't presented yet. But I haven't really done it a lot.
Mhm.
But I don't know if that's the right thing.
Yeah, I actually create meditations for my customers. So it's called homework. I give them homework all the time.
Well,
And there's a homework on your gatekeeper. But the best way to do any sort of meditation or sort of reading or channeling in that way is sitting down with your feet flat on the floor. A lot of times people lay down in bed. Of course, you're going to fall asleep. That's what your bed's made for. But when you're sitting in intention with your back straight and your feet flat on the floor, not crossing ankles or knees, you're beginning to create like a conduit, right, with earth energy. So once you're plugged into that and you do like a spirit guide meditation, you could actually see the spirit guide transforming in front of you, like showing up. And I always recommend like a blank wall because that's where you could see them. Like mine, he's over 18 feet tall. So when I first saw him, he was breaking through my ceiling. It was incredible. Like my ceiling disappeared and I saw him just still growing. And I was like
uh,
amazed by that. It was just like incredible. And now when I work with my guides, I have like 14 guides that I work with daily, so I'm always working with them, but I know what they look like. I know how to interact with them. And it's really practice. The more you practice, it becomes like muscle memory, if that makes sense.
we're out of time. I'm shocked. I looked up and I'm like, we just got started.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
how is that even possible?
yeah,
There's lots to talk about. I feel
yeah,
like I know you, and it's the weirdest feeling. I can't
yeah.
say I've had that often. Maybe it will present in some regard. I don't know. Another life, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, Tricia, how do we find you if somebody's trying to figure this all out? The energy thing, feel stuck, which is a common description what many of us have. How do we find you?
The best way is through energyworkandhealing.com, and I offer a 10-minute free complimentary hello where you can actually talk to me one on one and see if we resonate with each other before you actually book a session.
Fantastic talking with you, and just
Yeah,
better understanding things like Akashic records and more. And really looking forward next time we get together.
same,
Very
same.
cool. All right, we'll be right back.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.